Is Andrea Agnelli my favorite president ever? Absolutely yes. Is Jurgen Klopp one of the best ever coaches, one that I consider one of the best coaches on earth? Absolutely yes. So if you write an article and you tell me, Beppe, there are probabilities that Andrea Agnelli comes back as the president of Juve, and on top of that he brings alongside him Jurgen Klopp to manage the Bianconeri, I get extremely excited. I start to dream. I can't wait. Especially in a moment of difficulty, of doubts, of questions. Beppe is worried, of course, about the future of Juve. It's the 5th consecutive year, that we are not competing for the Scudetto. And that's something that pains me, that hurts me. So when you tell me my favorite president, one of my favorite coaches that could possibly manage my club, well, I go totally crazy. And yesterday, of course, the first intention was immediately to put that camera on to record, but I became a bit wiser, I have a bit more wisdom, a bit more experience, and I know that these kind of news, well, or you go totally immediately for the clicks, or you wait a bit with calma. First of all, because I don't want to have a broken heart. I don't want to be fooled, but more importantly, especially you, I don't want to fool you. So I try to collect as much as information to make a video about that topic, Jurgen Klopp, Andrea Agnelli, and pay attention because there is a third man that I also want to mention, Giorgio Chiellini. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you are all doing well. When I told you calma, it's important to be calm with these things. I have a lot of information I want to go through. The first thing that I did was looking at the source. You know that in the media, today on the internet, you can write whatever you want and people will start believe it. So calma, what is the source? Well, Enrico Testa, that is writing on La Stampa. It's important. It's really important to start with that one. La Stampa, based in Torino, and even more importantly, is owned by Group Gedi. Group Gedi, that is actually seeing shareholder John Elkann from Exor, and who is the president of Gedi, Group Gedi? It is Scannavino, that is at the moment the CEO of Juventus, right hand since years from John Elkann. So we can say that that news going on that paper is important, that probably Gedi, Group Gedi, with Scannavino, they saw that news, and instead of saying, no, don't write it, they didn't say anything. They didn't confirm, they didn't deny, they didn't say, let's go for it or stop it immediately. Let it go. That's what they did, and that's why I really want to speak about it. So what was the article? I will read you that text, and then we will comment. Andrea Agnelli would be working on a sensational return to Juventus, freeing himself from Exor with the support of an investment fund, perhaps linked to Red Bull. The negotiation, which has been underway for months and is followed by President Ferrero, could lead to a change of ownership that would allow John Elkann to focus on other projects. To relaunch the club, Agnelli would already have a prominent name in mind, Jurgen Klopp, who recently entered the Red Bull orbit as head of global soccer. There are a few important things there. Huh? Changing ownership, buying Juve, Jurgen Klopp, the help, the support of Red Bull. There are a lot of things there. One thing is sure, working on this since a few months. Is it the first time that we hear the name of Andrea Agnelli linked back to Juve? No, it's not the first time. So let's go step by step. Does Agnelli want to come back to Juve? I can guarantee you that yes, he would love to come back to Juve. He's still the number one supporter of Juve. He's living at the moment 90% of his time in Amsterdam, which is taking care of other businesses. And then the other 10% of the time he's spending them in Torino. Yes, he would love. He's number one supporter. He's watching Juve. And I can tell you that he's suffering as much as you, as much as me, when watching the result of this Juventus. Would he buy the majority of Juventus from Exor? And that's a huge big question. Well, that's extremely difficult. That's probably no. That will probably not happen. We know it, that John Elkann is owner of Exor, Juventus is part of Exor, and that it's a family business since more than 100 years. We know it. 2 years ago, in October, there was also that party with John Elkann that was there, with a lot of players from the past, players from today, that were there to represent that 100 years of Agnelli. John Elkann would not love to be the first one to actually sell, to give it away, to take it away from the family. That's something that he doesn't want. So what can we expect? Probably a new structure. That's what we can expect with Andrea Agnelli if he comes back, managing again, a family company. A bit what they did in the past with some changes. And that's where we hear the first time the name of Red Bull. Red Bull voices. Is it the first time that we hear Red Bull linked to Italy? No. Is it the first time that we hear Red Bull linked to Torino? No. We already heard a few weeks ago that there was a potential interest of Red Bull to take over Torino. Torino, the cousins of Juventus. We are speaking about the Granata club. So we hear them coming closer and closer and closer. We heard a few weeks ago, a few days ago, that Tether is actually buying stocks. They were at 5.01. That 01 was extremely important because that gave you the right of voting. But that even increased in the last few days from 5.01 share of Juve. It went up to 8.2%. What do we see here? That Elkan stocks went from 67 to 64%. So there is really an openness to let new investor enter the company. Could the return of Andrea Agnelli already happen at the end of the season? Extremely difficult. We know it. In November, the sporting inhibition would expire of Andrea Agnelli, but even in that case, that's not the biggest problem because he could manage already Juventus. The sporting conviction would not be a problem at all. He could still manage the club even when inhibited. So that's not the major problem. What are other problems? Why I don't think that Andrea Agnelli could come back immediately at the end of this season? Well, UEFA. We know it. Juventus is back in ECA. ECA, that is the European Club Association. We saw it in November. It was officially with also Al-Khelaifi, president of UEFA, of Paris Saint-Germain, but also of ECA. That was extremely proud to say that they welcome back Juventus, also with the head figure that is Giorgio Chiellini back. So that could possibly be a problem. We know it that Andrea Agnelli, the fights with UEFA, led by Seferin, could be a problem. But pay attention. In February 2024, there was a news that the people are not speaking about anymore. Seferin that publicly announced in February 2024 that he would step down as president in 27. Means that he will not participate to be re-elected. So a change in UEFA. Seferin gone, and we know that there is a war between Seferin and Andrea Agnelli, could potentially see Andrea Agnelli finally coming back to Juve. Not that much for that inhibition at the moment, but much more to say, okay, Seferin is gone, I can come back. Jurgen Klopp. We know it. He doesn't like Italy. He has said it multiple times. Not that he doesn't like it, but he said multiple times, it's not my favorite country to manage in. I didn't imagine me training there, coaching there in Serie A. On the other side, via Red Bull, and especially after not 1, but 2 years of being retired, charging batteries again, he could have that interest of coming back. We saw it multiple times. Coaches that retired and then they announced that they are back. Ranieri, for example, did it twice. Once coming back to Cagliari, once coming back to Roma. So it's not that much incredible that Jurgen Klopp could potentially come back. Do I believe that much in Red Bull, in Jurgen Klopp, Andrea Agnelli? Well, in Andrea Agnelli, I believe much more than Red Bull and Jurgen Klopp. On the other side, Red Bull taking over the majority of Juve, no. But investing in Juve, like Tether just did, buying some shares, some minority shares, it could be a possibility. And then you have these possible links with Jurgen Klopp. Pay attention, it's not over. It's absolutely not over, because we need to continue connecting the dots. First of all, it's not only La Stampa that is speaking about it, but today if you are opening Corriere dello Sport, you see it in Eugene Big. Juve torna Agnelli. Juve is Agnelli coming back. Words that are absolutely not denied by the ownership and not confirmed. We know it. That's also one of the strategy of the Bianconeri. Let it go. When really we don't want, we intervene, we speak, or we confirm. Here, when they don't do it, it's a 50-50. So it's not a no, it's not a yes. Technical government at Juve. That was the first step. In 2023, January, after the board resigned with Andrea Agnelli, well, technical government made of lawyers and made of accountants, something that Juventini today, they are extremely angry about because they are missing that sporting side. Sporting side is one thing, that's the thing that we Tifosi are interested in. On the other side, lawyers and accountants is something else. Well, that mission of Ferrero and Scanavino, they had two off-the-field mission. The first one was in court, to battle in court with that process we had, with all the investigations, etc., we found a deal with Serie A, we found a deal with UEFA, and here we can say that that mission is already accomplished. The other one, the accountant mission, that finance mission, is on the way to be accomplished. It's not yet, but we know that for the very first time, we are back in positive for the semester. We will not be positive at the end of the year, but that's the first step toward the right direction in saving the accounts, on being positive again, on having again not only the cash flow, okay, but also the debt, also all the other things that are making that Juventus can be auto-managed by themselves and not anymore asking money to the ownership like John Elkann already did with if not 700, 800 million euro invested in Juve in the last few years. So we can say that the 3-year cycle is nearly over. We know it in huge big management, a lot of time you're working with 3 years, 5-year cycles. Well, the 3-year cycle could, is it a coincidence or not, end towards January 26, June 26, and we know it, the end of UEFA Seferin is ending in 2027. That means that the timing is also correct. A time to have Andrea Agnelli back at Juve, 3 cycle of ownership made of accountants and lawyers that are stopping. UEFA Seferin is going, Andrea Agnelli also not inhibited anymore, not bent anymore, that could come back with strong power in Juventus Football Club. But what do we see here? A sporting figure has been inserted in Juve since the beginning of the season. We are speaking about Giorgio Chiellini. Giorgio Chiellini, head of football institutional relation. He wanted to enter, not taking care of the sporting side. He said, take it slowly. I want to be in that scholarship. I want to be in school. I want to work with the management, not taking care of the sporting side. That's something that I already know more or less, but I want to see other things that are also taking part of what I studied, my masters, etc. So he's working at today still together with Scannavino. It's actually an intensive training camp. I always told you here, my idea was one day you will see that he will do some progresses, he will be promoted, and who knows, they're working on making Giorgio Chiellini president. But with all these news, maybe that's not the real plan, not becoming president, but today we read in Gazzetta dello Sport, they are speaking about the intention to bring him again closer to the field, Giorgio Chiellini. The idea is to promote him as a general manager of Juve, actually being the link, a strong link between the management, the high management, we are speaking about Calvo, and also the sporting side, Giuntoli, the team, etc. And who better than Giorgio Chiellini could do that? There is no better name than Giorgio Chiellini. Entering a bit a la Pavel Nedved, behind the scene, learning, understanding, and then coming in on the foreground. Now, what is my general impression of all these news that I collected, trying to connect the dots? My general impression is that Juve is really completing their mission and finalizing a transition. Agnelli back as president, yes. Important minority investors, yes. New sporting structure and injecting, and that's probably the most important thing, injecting again Juventinità, which we are missing today. There is nobody that is more Juventino than Andrea Agnelli. Nobody was able in history of Juve to win 9 scudetti in a row like Giorgio Chiellini, loved by everyone, also someone smart, intelligent, that is already in the club, that already took some management courses, that is already managing, that has a beautiful title. Juventus is preparing the ground, is preparing the field to actually do what they promised us between the lines. First we take care of the field, and then we go strong on the field. With who? With people that understand football, with people that are Juventini. And I love that news. Will he come back? Can I promise it today? I cannot promise it. Is it a wish? Is it a hope? Absolutely yes. Will I be grateful for Scannavino and Ferrero's job? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. I know that for us Juventini, for football fans, 3 years looks like extremely long, but we were really in difficulty. In January 2023, I remember that we were totally lost. It started actually in November, December 2022. January we were totally lost. We didn't know what would be the future of Juve. They were able, and I know that a lot of Juventini are not happy about, but they were able to put back Juventus on stability. And that's what we are working on. And that second step could possibly be going fast, bringing Juventus not only anymore to be stable, but again being a superpower in Italy and hopefully also again in Europe. I hope you enjoyed that video. Grazie, forza, Juve.